Well, it's that time of year where citizens are hitting outdoor festivals and events that seem to crop up almost every weekend in this area. And one of the highlights of these events is stopping by the food vendors who represent all types of cuisine that they bring the kitchen on wheels, hoping to lure you in. But how do you know if these food trucks are safe to eat from? James Smith is the environmental health specialist with the Wake County Environmental Services Division, who joins us to talk about the importance of inspecting food trucks. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
James, first of all, food truck vendors are becoming very, very popular in this area. How much more of a workload is placed on inspectors this time of year?
Actually, the food truck business isn't as seasonal as you'd expect. They're certainly a lot more visible now because they're out at the events and the festivals and things. But really, the food truck business is year-round. Any day of the year, you could go to an office complex or clubs or other places that people would gather and see them operating.
James, is there a difference in inspecting, let's say, a brick-and-mortar restaurant versus a mobile food truck or stand?
Certainly, yeah. The biggest difference has to do with the fact that they're actually mobile. So unlike your typical brick and mortar restaurant, they actually have to carry their water supply with them, and they carry their wastewater with them. So we do need to make sure that we're focusing on those things as we do our inspection. Want to make sure that the water supply is protected and that they're not leaking wastewater onto the roads. Other than that, the basics are still the same. They need to be holding foods at the proper temperatures, they need to be using proper food handling techniques, and they need to be keeping things clean.
Mm-hmm. Are food vendors required to take any more extra precaution than, let's say, the brick and mortar restaurants?
Our rules don't really single out food trucks for extra scrutiny, but all of the operators really have to be on their toes as far as maintenance goes. The restaurant equipment that a lot of the food trucks use, for example, isn't really meant to be hauled around in a truck, so there's a lot of extra wear and tear on that equipment. Plus, they do need to make sure that they're servicing the water systems.
How often are food vendors inspected?
Food trucks and push carts are typically inspected 2 to 3 times a year.
And how are you able to inspect vendors that may be based outside of Wake County and they show up for certain big events, let's say here in downtown Raleigh?
Yeah, food truck and push cart permits are actually valid throughout the state, okay. But that also means that they're eligible to be inspected in any county that they're operating in. So if one of our inspectors has the opportunity to inspect one, they're certainly welcome to do that, and then we would share that inspection information with the home county of the truck.
And what are some of the areas food inspectors look for?
Basically the main emphasis is the same, whether you're talking about food trucks or brick and mortar restaurants. You want to make sure that they're cooking and holding foods at the proper temperatures, that they're using good food handling techniques. Basic cleanliness and those water systems are still very important, but in the end, it's going to be an employee that's not washing their hands or employees not properly cooking the food that's going to lead to people being sick.
And as always, what do you advise citizens to do when they decide whether or not to visit one of these trucks?
Sure. Certainly the most important thing that the citizens need to be watching out for is to make sure that it's a truck that they know is permitted and that has been inspected. Food trucks are like restaurants in that they're required to have a grade card posted, and that grade card will give them a pretty good idea as far as the general sanitation of the truck. Beyond that, most of the food trucks do need electricity, and most of them use generators to generate that electricity. So if somebody was to come upon a food truck that had a generator and that generator was turned off, I probably would not suggest that they dine there because they're probably having big problems.
Okay, James Smith, environmental health specialist with Wake County Environmental Services. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.